Good evening, everybody. Hi, Anita. It's so lovely to see you again. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the week's start of 1001 Arabian Nights. I will be your host tonight. My name is Joanna Godwin Seidl. I am the director and producer of Vienna Theatre Project, and many salams. It is very lovely to have you with us this evening. Just to give you a very short recap, as you know, Scheherazade is having to tell stories every night to the king to whom she is married, because if she does not, she fears that she is going to be killed by him. So to keep herself and her sister alive, she is telling the king stories, and the story so far, we're on the 7th night of the tale, and the story so far, the immediate story, is that there was that merchant, the fisherman, who had captured an ifrit who had done him very badly and was threatening to throw him out to sea. And the ifrit, or the genie, made a deal with him that if he let him go, then he would give him 4 very special fish. And the fisherman, the merchant, could take these fish back to his sultan, and he would be in his good graces and get lots of money. So he does so, and he does get lots of money, 400 dinars, and he returns back, thank you very much for the heart, and he returns back to the sultan with the fish. He gets 400 dinars. The fish is being cooked by the sultan's favourite cook, a maid, and as she's cooking it, she turns the fish over, and suddenly the walls around her crumble, and a maid comes out and speaks and asks the fish if they are going to return and make good on their promise. That was my dog walking past, by the way. Make good on their promise that they will return back to her or she to them. So then the fish are all charred because they get burnt because the maid faints. Once she comes back to life again, she discovers that the fish are charred, and she takes them to the sultan, and she tells the wazir what has happened, and the wazir finds this very strange indeed, and he takes it to the sultan, and the sultan asks the fisherman to get 4 new fish because he wants to see this for himself. And sure enough, the fisherman does this. He goes out to this lake and he gets 4 more brand new fish, and the maid fries the fish, this time in front of the sultan, and the fish, once again, the walls come crumbling down, and this time, instead of a maiden, no, I do believe it is a maiden again, says the same lines to the fish and asks them if they are going to return to her, and they promise that they will. The sultan is absolutely startled by this and wants to discover the secret behind the fish, and that is where we are so far in the story. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. I very much look forward to reading this to you, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of tonight's reading. And then after the reading is over, I have some special little things which I can show you that you can go and look at and listen to after the reading is over tonight. Okay, so thank you. Now, when it was the 7th night, Scheherazade continued, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when the fishes spoke, and the young lady upset the frying pan with her rod, and went forth by the way she came, and the wall closed up, the wazir cried out, 'This is a thing not to be hidden from the king.' So he went and told the king what had happened, whereupon the king quoth, 'There is no help for it, but that I see this with mine own eyes.' Then he sent for the fisherman and commanded him to bring forth 4 more fishes, like the first, and to take them with him 3 men as witnesses. The fisherman at once brought the fish, and the king, after ordering them to give him 400 gold pieces, turned to the wazir and said, 'Up, and fry me the fishes here before me.' The minister, replying, 'To hear is to obey,' bade bring the frying pan, threw therein the clean fish, and set it over the fire, when lo, the wall clave asunder. and out burst a black slave, like a huge rock or a remnant of the tribe Ad, beating in hand a branch of a green tree, and he cried in loud and terrible tones, "O fish, O fish, be ye all constant to your antique covenant?" Whereupon the fishes lifted their heads from their frying pan and said, "Yes, yes, we be true to our vow." And they again recited the couplet, "Come back, and so will I. Keep faith, and so will I. But if you fain forsake, I'll require till quits me cry." Then the huge blackamoor approached the frying pan and upset it with a branch and went forth by the way he came in. When he vanished from their sight, the king inspected the fish, and finding them all charred and black as charcoal, was utterly bewildered, and said to the wazir, "Verily, this is a matter wherein silence cannot be kept, and as for the fishes, assuredly some marvellous adventure connects with them." So he bade bring the fisherman and asked him, saying, "Fie on thee, fellow, whence came these fishes?" And the fisherman answered, "From a tarn between 4 heights, lying behind the mountain which is in sight of thy city." Quoth the king, "How many days' march?" Quoth he, "O our lord the Sultan, a walk of half hour." The king wondered, and straightway ordering his men to march and horsemen to mount, led off the fisherman who went before as guide, privily damning the Ifrit. They fared on until they had climbed the mountain and descended unto a great desert, where they had never seen during all their lives. And the Sultan and his merry men marvelled much at the wold set in the midst of 4 mountains, and the tarn and its fishes of 4 colours, red and white, yellow and blue. The king stood fixed to the spot in wonderment, and asked his troops and all present, "Hath anyone among you ever seen this piece of water before now?" And all answered, "O king of the age, never did we set eyes upon it during all our days." They also questioned the oldest inhabitants they met, men well stricken in years, but they replied each and every, "A lakelet like this we never saw in this place." Thereupon quoth the king, "By Allah, I will never return to my capital, nor sit upon the throne of my forefathers, till I learn the truth behind this tarn and the fish therein." He then ordered his men to dismount and bivouac all around the mountain, which they did, and summoning his wazir, a minister of much experience, sagacious, of penetrating wit, and well versed in affairs, said to him, "'Tis in my mind to do a certain thing, whereof I will inform thee. My heart telleth me to fare forth alone this night, and root out the mystery of this tarn and its fishes. Do thou take thy seat at my tent door, and say to the emirs and the wazirs, the nabobs and the chamberlains, in fine to all who ask thee, the Sultan is ill at ease, and he hath ordered me to refuse all admittance. And careful thou let none know my design." And the wazir could not oppose him. Then the king changed his dress and ornaments, and, slinging his sword over his shoulder, took a path which led up upon the mountains, and marched forth the rest of the night till morning dawned. Nor did he cease wayfaring till the heat was too much for him. After his long walk, he rested for a while, and then resumed his march, and fared on through the second night till dawn, when suddenly there appeared a black point in the far distance. Hereat he rejoiced and said to himself, "Haply someone here shall acquaint me with the mystery of the tarn and its fishes." Presently, drawing near the dark object, he found it a palace built of swart stone plated with iron, and while one leaf of the gate stood wide open, the other was shut. The king's spirits rose high as he stood before the gates and rapped a light rap. But hearing no answer, he knocked, a second knock, and a third. Yet there came no sign. Then he knocked his loudest, but still no answer. So he said, "Doubtless 'tis empty." Thereupon he mustered up resolution and boldly walked through the main gate into the great hall, and there cried out aloud, "Holla, ye people of the palace! I am a stranger and a wayfarer. Have you aught here of victual?" He repeated his cry a second time, and a third, but still there came no reply. So, strengthening his heart and making up his mind, he stalked through the vestibule into the very middle of the palace and found no man in it. Yet it was furnished with silken stuffs, gold-starred, and the hangings were let down over the doorways. In the midst was a spacious court, off which set 4 open saloons, each with it raised daises. A saloon facing saloon. A canopy shaded the court, and in the centre was a jetting fount with 4 figures of lions made of red gold, spouting from their mouths water clear as pearls, diaphanous gems. Round about the palace birds were let loose, and over its neck stretched a net of gold wire, hindering them from flying off. In brief, there was everything but human beings. The king marvelled mightily thereat, yet felt sad at heart, for that he saw no one to give him an account of the waste and its tarn, the fishes, the mountains, and the palace itself. Presently, as he sat between the doors in deep thought, behold, there came a voice of lament, as from a heart grief spent, and he heard the voice chanting these verses: "I hid what I endured of him, and yet it came to light, and nightly sleep mine eyelids fled, and changed to sleepless night. O world, O fate, withhold thy hand, and cease thy hurt and harm. Look and behold, my hapless sprite is dolour and affright. Wilt ne'er show Ruth's high-born youth, who lost him on the way of love, and fell from wealth and fame to lowest basest wight? Jealous of Zephyr's breath, was I at your form to be breathed, but whereon destiny descends, she blindeth human sight. What shall the hapless archer do, who when he fronts his foe, and bends his bow to shoot the shaft, shall find his string undight? What cark and care so heavy bear on youth of generous soul? How shall he scape his lot, where from fate his place of flight? Now, when the Sultan heard the mournful voice, he sprang to his feet and followed the sound found a curtain let down over a chamber door. He raised it and saw behind it a young man sitting upon a couch about a cubit above the ground. And he, fair to the sight, a well-shaped wight with eloquent dight. His forehead was flower white, his cheek rosy bright, and a mole on his cheek breadth like an ambergris might, even as the poet doth indite. A youth, slim-waisted from those whose locks and brow the world is blackness, and in light is set. Throughout creation's round no fairer show, no rarer sight than thine eye hath ever met. A nut-brown mole sits throned upon a cheek of noisiest red, an eye of jet. The king rejoiced and saluted him, but he remained sitting in his caftan of silk stuff, purfled with Egyptian gold, and his crown studded with gems of sorts, but his face was sad with the traces of sorrow. He returned the royal salute in most courteous wise, adding, O my lord, thy dignity demandeth my rising to thee, and my sole excuse is to crave thy pardon. Quoth the king, Thou art excused, O youth, so look upon me as thy guest, come hither on an especial object. I wouldst thou acquainteth me with the secrets of this tarn and its fishes, and of this palace, and thy loneliness therein, and the cause of thy groaning and wailing. Wherein the young man heard these words, he wept with sore weeping, till his bosom was drenched with tears, and began reciting, Say him who careless sleeps, what while the shaft of fortune flies, how many doth his shifting world lay low and raise to rise. Although thine eyes be sealed in sleep, sleep not thy almighty eyes, and who have found time ever fair, or fate in constant guise. Then he sighed a long fetched sigh, and recited, Confide thy case to him, the Lord who made mankind. Quick cark and care and cultivate content of mind. Ask not the past, or how or why it came to pass. All human things by fate and destiny were designed. The king marvelled and asked him, What maketh thee weep, O young man? And he answered, How should I not weep, when this is my case? Thereupon he put out his hand and raised the skirt of his garment, when lo, the lower half of his body appeared down to his feet, while from his navel to the hair of his head he was man. The king, seeing his plight, grieved with sore grief, and of his compassion cried, Alack, and well away, in very sooth, O youth, thou heapest sorrow upon my sorrow. I was minded to ask thee the mystery of the fishes only, whereas now I am concerned to learn thy story as well as theirs, and why thou art half stone from thy waist down. But there is no majesty, and there is no might, save in Allah, the glorious, the great. Lose no time, O youth, but tell me forthright thy whole tale. Quoth he, Lend me thine ears, thy sight, and thine insight. And quoth the king, All are at thy service. Thereupon the youth began, Right wondrous and marvellous is my case, and that of these fishes. Were it graven with gravers upon the eye-comers, it was a warner to whoso would be warned. How is that? Asked the king. And the youth, the young man, began to tell the tale of the ensorcelled prince. Know then, O my lord, that while some my sire was king of this city, and his name was Mahmud, entitled Lord of the Black Islands, and owner of what are now these 4 mountains, he ruled 70 years, after which he went to the mercy of the Lord, and I reigned as sultan in his stead. I took to wife my cousin, the daughter of my paternal uncle, and she loved me with such abounding love that whenever I was absent, she ate not, and she drank not, until she saw me again. She cohabited with me for 5 years, till a certain day when she went forth to the Hammam bath, and I bade the cock hasten to get ready all requisites for our supper. And I entered this palace, and lay down on the bed, where I was wont to sleep, and bade 2 damsels to fan my face, one sitting by my head, and the other at my feet. But I was troubled, and made restless by my wife's absence, and could not sleep. For although my eyes were closed, my mind and thoughts were wide awake. Presently, I heard the slave girl at my head say to her at my feet, "O Masida, how miserable is our master, and how wasted his youth, and oh, the pity of him being so betrayed by our mistress, the accursed whore." The other replied, "Yes, indeed. Allah curse all faithless women and adulteresses. But the like of our master, with his fair gifts, deserveth something better than this harlot who lieth abroad by night every night." Then quoth she, who sat by my head, "Is our Lord dumb, or fit only for bubbling, that he questioneth her not?" And quoth the other, "Fie on thee! I doth our Lord know her ways, or doth she allow him his choice? Nay, more, doth she not drug every night the cup she giveth him to drink before sleep time, and put bang into it, so he sleepeth? And wotteth not whiter she goeth, nor what she doeth. But we know that, after giving him the drugged wine, she donneth her richest raiment, and perfumeth herself, and then she fareth out from him to be away till break of day. And then she cometh to him, and burneth a pastel under his nose, and he awaketh from his death-like sleep. When I heard the slave girl's words, the light became black upon my sight, and I thought night would never fall. Presently, the daughter of my uncle came from the baths, and they set the table for us, and we ate, and sat together a fair half hour, quaffing our wine, as was our ever wont. Then she called for the particular wine I used to drink before sleeping, and reached me the cup. But seeming to drink it according to my wont, I poured the contents into my bosom, and lying down, let her hear that I was asleep. Then, behold, she cried, "Sleep out the night, and never wake again. By Allah, I loathe thee, and I loathe thy whole body, and my soul turneth in disgust from cohabiting with thee, and I see not the moment when Allah shall snatch away thy life." Then she rose and donned her fairest dress, and perfumed her person, and slung my sword over her shoulder, and opening the gates of the palace, went her ill way. I rose and followed her as she left the palace, and she threaded the streets until she came to the tiny city gate, where she spoke words I understood not, and the padlocks dropped of themselves as if broken, and the gate's leaves opened. She went forth, and I after without her noticing aught, till she came at last to the outlying mounds. A reed fence built about a round-roofed hut of mud bricks, and she entered the door and climbed upon the roof, which commanded a view of the interior, and lo, this is where we are going to end our story tonight. And if you want to find out where she went to and what she was doing, then please tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow, Saman Giraud will be reading the story and continuing on with the 1001 Arabian Nights. Thank you very much for listening. Many salams. I wanted to let you know that tonight, once you have logged off from this video view, and if you're watching it at a later time, once you log off from the video view, you can go onto the Vienna Theatre Project webpage, and we've got 2 really beautiful songs which we uploaded for you today. One of them is a song from Les Miserables, and a very good friend of mine. He's also directed and been in a couple of musicals which Vienna Theatre Project did. Kieran Brown belongs to a company called the Barricade Boys, which is a boy band, if you like, that sings musical songs. And they got together with some very famous musical singers from Broadway and West End, and in isolation, separately, sang a song from Les Miserables, calling out for people to stay at home and keep safe. And actually, in this case, protect and help the National Health Service in the UK. But I think it's a song that has meaning to us all, and it is so beautifully sung. So please log into that and listen to that after we have finished today. And the other thing I wanted to share with you, which I have shared with you, and it's on the Vienna Theatre Project website, is a song by a friend of ours called Jeremy Schoenfeld. He is a singer-songwriter from New York. He is actually stuck in New Zealand right now. And as he's stuck out there, he managed to get hold of a piano or electric keyboard and is now composing music. And I asked him if I could share his music, and he said yes. So there is a beautiful song, the first song he's composed in isolation, which is on the Vienna Theatre Project website. You can click onto both those songs once we've finished this evening, and I hope you will enjoy both of them. Please give us feedback on what you think about our readings. I hope you're enjoying them. We very much enjoy reading for you. Tomorrow night, as I said, Saman Giraud is going to be lending her beautiful voice to all of our souls at 21:45, that's 9:45 p.m, and we look forward very much to seeing you then. Thank you. Goodbye. Take care, everybody. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.